So once All right. So we are now live. You're gonna hear the music from that. Let me turn this. Make sure I can mute this. All right. So sorry for the delay and the technical difficulties. We were able to get everything up and running. We're still trying to figure some things out, but I got my man CJ in here in the studio with me so he can pick my brain a little bit, ask some questions. I'm very excited about this opportunity, especially being able to have him come on here and interview me. The last time him and I were here in the studio, we had a very good conversation. Wow. We were talking about a lot of good different things, but the conversation was more geared towards him. So I thought it would be beneficial for me to invite him as a guest on the show to, kind of ask me some questions. I like to look at you as like a young man, a very educated man. You know what I mean? I see some of the things that you have going on and some of the things that you got, you elevating yourself and things like that. So I felt like it would be beneficial for me to kind of get some questions from you because I understand that you do have a following, you know what I mean? And you do have some concerns or you do have a say so whether you believe it or not. So I just figured it would benefit me, it would benefit you and some of the people who like interact and involve themselves with us to kind of gauge my interest in the seat, to gauge your interest in some of the things you felt Erie needs or some of the things that you may be thinking about as concerns. So reached out to you, invited you on the show. You're interested and open and coming. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself, you know what I mean, as we get things rolling. And I'm going to get the shares and all of that going so we can get this running on you. I got to mute that, John, but go ahead.
One, I want to say, obviously, thank you for inviting me to, come back and, do the reverse of what we did last time, ask you a few questions, because what you want to do and what you're working towards, is major right now. But that's exciting, man. City Council. And I like it that you're not taking it, you're not downplaying what you want to do. You're not just doing it as some fad or just some spur of the moment interest. You're taking it serious. You're talking to the people. You're doing your research. You actually taking those right steps. At least what I feel like we always see in Erie, we want to see somebody that's on council, reaching out to the people, talking to the people, just showing that you're more than just a public figure, doing that actual work and being a voice for the people.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. I appreciate that a lot. Even just that acknowledgement and that recognition. So again, I appreciate you coming on here, being interested in having the conversation, being interested in asking some questions. And I hope that I can answer them I'm going to answer them the best way that I can. You know what I mean? The best I see fit. And we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, now we can do. Yeah, I don't have anything. I actually put together a few questions. Nothing too strenuous, no real crazy curveballs. But yeah, I think some good quality questions I feel like I have, other people may have. So just being able to answer these ones, I think will really help out as well.
All right. Well, I'm ready when you're ready. Let's get everything. We're going to get everything all configured. And now you got my attention, man. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Let's see it. Let's just start off with something simple. First one. So, what inspired you to run?
That's a good
council too, as well. I should probably say Erie City Council.
All right. So, honestly, what got me interested in running for the seat, I knew a seat was available. There's actually 4 seats available.
Okay.
I've been down to some city council meetings, talking to the meetings, and just gauging some of the interests of the community. Being able to talk to some people to kind of see some of the things that are going on. But also, what I do is I understand like my role in I don't even want to say politics, but let's say civics. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there's a need for a certain demographic to be represented from local government. I understand the importance of local government and how the decisions that are made and the things that are discussed impact the lives of the people. I'm born and raised in Erie my entire life, so I've always had some type of involvement with the city of Erie when it comes to if it's being involved in after-school programs, if it's going into the schools, speaking up in the schools, or just being, like I said, being somebody who's been living here. I feel like there's I'm not going to say a misrepresentation, but I feel like there's a demographic of individuals whose concerns aren't being heard. There's a demographic of people whose needs aren't being met. There's a demographic of people who who want to be involved, who want to be included. And I don't believe that we have a face or a voice who's going to speak to our interests or represent our interests in a manner that I would like to. And then I'm also one of those people who have concerns. You know, I'm also one of those people who need some of that help and who need some of that support. And I feel like it would be in my best interest to speak for myself and speak for people who are willing to allow me to advocate for them, as opposed to continuously complaining without any action. I'm a type of person to where if I'm going to complain about something, it's going to be with solutions. And the reason why I decided city council as opposed to county council, as opposed to school board or any other seat, is because the local government, like there are a lot of people who make decisions for the things that we do within the city of Erie, and we don't even know.
Right.
A lot of us have complaints about different things that are going on, but we don't use our voices in the right manner to express our concerns or to talk about our complaints. And I hear a lot of them. You know, I see a lot of them. A lot of people reach out to me about different conversations. So I feel like based on the things that I see are needs within the city of Erie, based on the conversations that I have with some of the people who live in the city of Erie, I feel like this would be a perfect opportunity for me as a young man to get involved. I feel like it's my civic duty. And I think that I have a lot to offer as far as like being on the city council.
Nice. So not only just doing it for yourself, but also seeing it as it being somewhere that you can be the biggest asset for your community and being able to contribute the most is at this level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'm a very vocal person, you know what I mean? And I notice a lot of different things, and I'm a solution-based person. So I just feel like somebody has to step up and do it for us. And I don't see a lot of people who are willing to step up and do it for us.
Right.
So this is not about me. This is about, I guess, I'm not going to say, I guess, this is about me gauging the interests of people who come from areas where I look like and being able to apply resources, information, and knowledge to places that needs to be applied to so things can change.
All right. Then my next one I got up here, and then I'm not going in no order.
It's all good.
So I'm just bouncing around. All right, and then for this next one, pretty much, have there been any past experiences that you feel like have helped prepare you to serve the residents of Erie?
Oh, yeah. So again, like living in Erie my entire life, I grew up, we went to the community centers. Like, so I was involved in pretty much all the community centers within the city of Erie as far as being a participant. Some of those places I went back and volunteered at. Some of those places I went and spoke to. I partnered with the Booker T. Washington Center one summer to take some kids like on a trip outside of the city. So as far as like me actually being active, I think I'm losing the question, but as far as like me being active within, you know, the community, and as far, let me see, could you read that question again to me?
Yeah, I can read it back. So pretty much what past experiences or
Got you.
How have your past experiences prepared you for this?
Okay. Yeah. So again, like being active and being involved within the Erie community, I feel like you can kind of see the needs of the people. And then when people are just having conversations in different places and different spaces, you can hear the needs of the people. Right. So, I mean, being active within Erie, interacting with people, not being in the closet, not feeling like I got all the answers with it just being my answers. I feel like because I am amongst the people I'm going to continue to reiterate that I am one of the people who need help. You know what I mean? And I feel like it takes a village. I've lived in Erie my entire life. And at one point in time, we had a tight-knit community. People were helping one another. I come from that era of help. I come from that era of community. I come from that era of village mentality. And I understand how it benefited my life. I just completed my master's degree. So I just was able to obtain my master's degree. Again, thank you. And again, this is not like I'm not this is all hard work. You know what I mean? Like nobody gave me anything. So understanding how I had to navigate through to be able to accomplish some of the things that I accomplished, I feel like it would be beneficial for me to offer some people some insight on an easier path because I involve myself and I interact with the people in the city of Erie.
Something a little different.
You got them scripted. So I love it. I love it. My man came prepared. That's what I'm here for.
All right. And for this next one, how do you feel like you would be able to balance the needs of the different communities within Erie and pretty much trying to make sure policies are distributed fairly and, you know, it's not targeting one demographic or one group of people more than others and just trying to be transparent about it?
See, and that's interesting. And I think that's another reason why I want to run for the seat and I hope to get elected in the seat, because I feel like there's not one person who could speak for all communities, but there are different champions of communities who you can speak to, which is why I like when it comes to even inviting different people or asking people to come interview me, is being able to speak to people who represent different walks of life, to hear some of their concerns, to hear some of their interests, to hear some of the things that they are willing to do or to speak for their people. So I think it's important to talk to people from all walks of life. Not when you don't. I don't plan on targeting one demographic. I don't plan on speaking to one walk of life. I don't plan on speaking to one community. I feel like we all have interests. Some are different. Some are similar. But within every population, or with every community, or with every pocket, there's a champion of that community. And I think it's important for those champions to start to identify themselves and to understand that they need to be the voice for their people. They need to be able to be the voice of reason for their people. And they also need to be the voice of concern for their people. And I'm interested in meeting some of those people and seeing if they're willing to step up to be the voice for their people, to be that person that, is talking for their community. Because what I don't want it to look like is I'm coming in here and I'm going to do everything for quote unquote my people. And then people feel like, oh, what about us? What about us? And I feel like different communities or different demographics of people need to figure out who their champion is, or whoever their voice is going to be, and say, hey, go talk to somebody who's a local official. And I have no problem going to different community centers or going to different organizations and asking questions to gauge their concerns. So I think it's very important to interact and involve myself with multiple demographics, from a generational thing, from a race thing, from an ethnicity, from a religion thing, whatever the case may be, because at the end of the day, we all do have to live here together, regardless of how we feel about one another.
That's very true. I like to look at Erie as like a melting pot. You're never going to see two of the same people within the same day. Everybody's different. And I think that shows like a lot of humility in a good way, from how you were saying, like, you're not going to be able to be that person to catch all for every group of people, but that you're willing to look for those champions in those different groups, speak with them, work with them, and try to find ways to work within your community. Right. Because like you said, it does take a village.
Absolutely.
In that role, so you're speaking for the village. So it's nice to see that you're taking that serious, and it's like, you're not going to try to overshadow one group.
No, not at all. And I don't want anybody to feel like, okay, he's coming in, he's pro this and anti that. I feel like we all need to find who we can identify as our person to speak for us, to advocate for us, and to effectively and appropriately articulate our concerns, so that way we can be heard and we can be listened to. And then those champions go back to your people or to your communities and deliver the message that you received, as far as how do we get them to come on board. Because I can't speak for a certain community, so I don't feel like I can speak to a certain community as a whole. But I can speak to somebody who may be considered a leader of that community, to where I deliver the message to them, to where how they understand, and vice versa. And then they can go back and translate it to the people who follow them in a manner that they will understand. Because what I'm learning about myself is the way I deliver a message to you may not be received well to somebody else, or even somebody that you're going to talk to later. So me and you may have a conversation and you understand every single thing that's flowing. But let's say I try to talk to one of your friends and had the exact same conversation. He may not get it, or she may not get it, and it may not click. But you know that person well enough to where you can say, this is what this means. Let me translate that for you. So I think it's important for us to start identifying who those people are who can translate messages to us to where we can understand it.
That's very true, yeah. And definitely doing that to help you avoid where I notice sometimes, whether it be with work and just even with friendships, a group of people that may not speak the same language or understand things at the same level. Things do get the message and mission does get lost when you're trying to communicate it to different people if they feel like you're not talking to them in a way that they understand. So
right.
With that, it'll definitely help. Switch gears a little bit, and this is something you take serious, higher education and community engagement. How would you collaborate with like local schools and colleges to try to improve the education, and then even help with like workforce development?
That's a good question. That was something that I was working on at Mercyhurst University, as far as like getting some of those college students who are interested in their next level of life, who have those jobs, to expose them to real life experiences, because some of them will go into some populations or demographics or communities that they're not familiar with. But I think it's important for some of us to be embracing those relationships as they're coming, to understand that we do and we can benefit from making those connections. So I think it's important for us to utilize and lean on the local universities if there's an opportunity for tutors. If we can get some of those students to come to those after school programs. I know at one point in time, the Booker T. Washington Center, they had the community college. We have the community college now here in Erie. I think it's important for us to lean on some of these relationships and see if we can get some of the people who work at these organizations and work for these organizations to kind of start meeting us where we are and coming to us, instead of sending us to some of these places that may be intimidating. Because I don't feel like everybody feels welcome on campuses around the city of Erie, or we don't feel welcome on campus that are close to us, or we don't have access to. So I think it's important for us to start reaching out to some of our local universities and having them come to our spaces to educate us on some of the services that they offer, how they want to get involved with the community. And then also, I feel like that would benefit once we have some of those people coming within our community, they will be interested in working in Erie. So then what you do is you'll be able to get a new generation of individuals who are curious to stay in Erie, to work in Erie, to be professionals in Erie. And then some of our young people can start looking up to people who are closer in age to them, who can understand where they're coming from, to be able to relay messages and relay information to help them build their minds. I told people at Mercyhurst, like I used to speak to some of the students, and I'm like, when I was in middle school, high school, elementary school, like when college students came to speak to us, it made us feel good. Yep. We were seeing people who were talking about college. Everybody didn't talk about college. That's the closest thing to professional athletes for some of those students who are athletes. Like a lot of us may not have that opportunity to be exposed to that. So I think it's important for us to to lay in on those relationships and ask for help. And when I say ask for help, not what do you have to offer us, but these are some of the things that we need. And these are some of the things that we prefer from you, as opposed to people thinking, well, because we have this level of education or because we have this amount of money, I know how I can help you. And it's either this way or we don't help you at all. So I think it's about building those bridges, building those relationships, having those conversations with some of the heads of the university to see how we can figure out how we can build relationships and not strain them.
That's a good point. Then for the next part, let's see here. All right, and so more so for this one, pretty much be like public engagement, and then like that accountability piece for like the members on council.
Mm-hmm.
How would you plan to keep, or what would you try to incorporate within city council to help keep the public informed about like decisions that are made by council? I know there's their own page they may have, obviously the news and things like that, but do you have a different spin on that?
Absolutely do. I feel like it's important for us to stay involved with our community, to participate in some of these events that aren't so popular and that aren't so familiar, to go to some of these places that it may seem or sound like frowned upon, because I feel like the people who have the most and the biggest concerns don't come to the place where they can express those concerns, but those concerns are valid. Those concerns are legit, not all of them. But I've been in meetings where I've told some of the politicians, like, when it was time for you to run, you call my phone, you text my phone, you would come to my neighborhood, you would knock on my door, you would throw an event in a place that you feel like I'll frequent. Once you get the seat,
don't come back.
That doesn't exist anymore. And I feel like that's important for us to understand. And I've said that so many times to where now I want to put myself in a position to be able to show what I mean when I say that. So me continuing to stay true to myself after I get the seat, because I want to speak it into existence. Me staying true to myself after I get this seat and still continuing to visit the places that I visit. Me continuing to communicate with the people that I communicate, and then opening doors for people who have the ability to walk through the door but don't know where the door is at. You know what I mean? Being able to introduce people in the city of Erie to opportunities that local government has. So then that way, what you do is you have a trickle down and a ripple effect. Like, for instance, if I were to present an opportunity to you that would help you with everything that you had going on, but you had no idea it existed, the hope and the expectation would be is that you would tell a friend. But I wouldn't expect you to always come to me for this help. It's our job to identify who are the people in our community who are doing good works. It is our job to identify the people in the community who are under the stones and who are just scratching at the surface of being able to be something, but don't know what their next move is. And I feel like we have a lot of potential in the city of Erie. There are a lot of people who want to do good things. There are a lot of people who are up and coming, for lack of better words, but they either don't have the resources or the information is not being presented to them, and is how their local government can help them. And I feel like if everybody on council understands that concept and that aspect of it, we work for the people. You know what I mean? And we can't always expect the people to come to a meeting to get the information if we want them to have it.
Very true. And I think sometimes, depending on roles people take, even at work, you kind of forget the mission when you get so, I want to say self-absorbed, but you get focused on yourself and what you want to do for yourself. You forget at times, this role is for the people, by the people, and for the people. That's why this is possible, is because of the people. So
absolutely.
You never want to forget the people that you're representing. Next one would be, let's see here. So this was more so curveball. Do you support tax increase or cuts? And if so, under what circumstances?
I think honestly, it would depend on I think that's a vague question. It would depend on the situation.
Intentionally.
As far as why the opportunity was presented, as far as either a tax cut or a tax increase, because I understand that sometimes when taxes are cut, it is to serve the people. You know what I mean? When there's a surplus of funds or whatever the case may be, so you can kind of give back to the people when things came in too much.
Yep.
But then I also understand the importance of tax increases when you want improvements within the city and federal funds aren't available. You know what I mean? Or there's nobody coming to save us, and we have so many concerns about our city, and it's more of a, what are we willing to put up for ourselves if we want something to be better? Now, again, that's it's a very vague question. You know what I mean? So I guess it would have to be some more specific things on the table, but then also that conversation, that's a decision of 6 other people that would be on the board, right, as far as having a conversation and having a vote. But I mean, if it makes sense, and if it's for the betterment of Erie, and if it's going to make things better for the people of Erie, then I mean, sometimes you have to raise taxes. And then if you figure out and you realize that, well, we may have raised them too high, or we may have taken too much, or we have a surplus of funds from taxes, then it's our job to kind of look where we can make some cuts and some decreases so that it doesn't just look like we're robbing the people.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because sometimes that will happen. Raise taxes, and it's like, okay, we've accomplished all of these things that we said we're going to accomplish, but the city taxes are still up. You know what I mean? Or, you know what I mean? All of this stuff. And it's kind of like, why does it make sense to continue to tax the people of the government to load the account of the government? And we should be helping the people, and we should be all working collectively. So I guess when it makes sense to do it, hear from the people, and also to explain to the people why taxes are going up. Because some people just be like, oh, you raising my taxes? No, that's crazy. But if you break down a strategic plan and you explain to people why the tax is being raised, the reason, you know what I mean, the plan for the tax increase, and how it's going to ultimately make the city of Erie better for the people who live here, then I think it's feasible to do.
Good answer. Yeah. And I think that's more so the biggest thing is, if it's going to happen, just explaining to people, this is the expectation, this is what's going to happen, but the why. A lot of people just want the why.
Right.
They may not be happy with it, but they'll understand it and respect it if you can at least give them the why.
Right. Right. Yeah. I agree with that, because, a lot of times it's just like increase, and everybody looking at their taxes, or, it's time to go file. You're like, whoa, what did this happen? And you have no idea. And then people will be like, oh, we had a meeting about that already.
Right.
Or you missed the memo. Like, okay, well, since you have my attention now,
yeah,
and I'm asking questions, can I get an explanation?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I know, like, city council, it's members of city council. It's not necessarily just one person on the board.
Right.
So it's group work. It's a team.
Absolutely.
So, and this one I'm just freestyling off of. I don't have this one scripted.
Okay.
When it comes to like working in groups, how do you work well with others? Say if there were to be a disagreement or difference of opinions.
Okay. So when there's a difference of opinions, I'm open to having that conversation. And something that I'm learning as well is like to not involve feelings when you have factual information, or you have like statistics and data that are backing up the opinions or the theories of the people who are speaking. So I'm open to hearing something that makes sense. I'm also open to challenging things that don't make sense with valid information. So I don't want to go back and forth with somebody about feelings, or the disagreement turns into the only reason why you disagree with me is because the way that you feel and you have no factual information to back that up. As far as working on a team, I believe every single person on the team needs to understand that they have a job. And an analogy that I tell people all the time is like the hands can't be the feet. You know what I mean? The eyes can't be the ears. So every person has a job, and every person has a lane, or, Bill Belichick always do your job. So understanding that we are working on a team together. Within this team, we all have roles, and there's also a checks and balances, and you have to be open to being checked and balanced. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel like this would be an opportunity for me to learn more, but then also for me to implement. And then when I'm falling short, for somebody to hold me accountable. And when somebody else is falling short, to hold them accountable, and to speak up for the people that I speak up for when there's a room where only 7 people are at and decisions are being made. So I understand that there will be times where there won't be an agreement on everything. And I feel like people need to be able to speak up on the reasons why they feel like we can't agree on certain things. And when a decision is made, it's a vote. You know what I mean? 7 people, you need 4 people to vote on something. So even when you don't agree, and then you voice your opinion on why you don't agree when it's time to vote, even if somebody made sense to you, you don't necessarily have to vote their way, because again, you still speak and advocate for a group of people. So if I were to vote against something, I would be able to articulate why I voted no, But I also would be able to say the person who presented this, they stood their ground and they had the information. I didn't think that it may be best for all of us, but they were able to speak to it. So I don't feel like if I'm voting no, that if it goes through, nobody should hate the person who got it to go through. And I think that's the big issue that we have.
Yep, and that's actually going to segue into my next question is pretty much how would you handle it with a situation where it came to a vote on something that you were, say, passionate about and it did not go your way? Like, how do you see yourself working with those individuals or, carrying on after that up until that point?
So again, I understand that it's a team thing. You know what I mean? It's a group effort and it all comes to a vote. Yep. You know what I mean? So if somebody presented something that I did not agree with, and they were able to articulate why it benefits, and they can articulate to 3 other people on the board why it benefits, then that's the way it goes. You know what I mean? That's the policy, and not to involve my feelings, not to involve my emotions, but to understand that we need to continue to move forward for the betterment of Erie and for the betterment of the people of Erie. And when I vote no, it wouldn't be an emotional vote. You know what I mean? And I understand that there are going to be things that I may present that people may say, oh, no, that's not a great idea, but we still have to work together. So the most important thing about me is, about when it comes to that, is being able to present my passion when I articulate my words, but not allow my feelings to come into play to where when people don't agree with me and they vote against me and vice versa. So it's about being able to be emotionally intelligent and being able to understand that just because this person said no to me or I said no to that person doesn't mean that they dislike me or vice versa. Doesn't mean I have to have any ill will towards them or any bad feelings towards them, but it was just that we couldn't come to an understanding, and what they had to say got passed, and what I had to say did not get passed. But we need to continuously, professionally work and do what we have to do for the people that we are speaking for and the people we're advocating for.
And my next one, we jump back up a little bit. In terms of the city of Erie, what would you say are the top 3 issues that Erie is currently facing or within city council? Okay,
so within city council, I guess like some of the reasons, the 3 reasons why I would like to run, or 3 of my biggest concerns is one is community resources. I feel like there are a lot of resources available. I'm not going to say I know that there are a lot of resources available for the people within the community, for the people within the city, but we all don't know how to go get them. We all don't know how to obtain them. And then there are other people who are getting them and obtaining them for us. And they're offering some to us and not all to us. You know what I mean? Or it's too many loopholes to jump through to be able to get the help and support that you need. Sometimes you need some instant support. Right. And sometimes you're told you have to wait weeks because you have to go through my program. Also, sometimes there is a need to go through a program to where the instant support is not what you need, but it's what you want. So I understand the importance of having these different organizations and institutions. But then I feel like the community needs to be able to understand the importance of the resources that are available to them and how to obtain them. I'm also concerned with public safety. I went down there to speak at city council a couple of times. Some young people there was some tragic events that took place. I feel like the community as a whole doesn't we don't embrace our neighborhoods. We don't step up to far as like keeping our city safe. We can't leave it all up to the police, and we definitely shouldn't just leave it all up to the justice system. So trying to restore the village mentality and build a relationship with the city of Erie, the community of Erie, and some of the police officers. I feel like the police presence shouldn't just be when it's time to arrest or pals. Right. I feel like they should be in some of our businesses, utilizing our businesses and coming to our stores and shopping with us and stuff like that. I don't think that the police officers should not be a presence in Erie. They shouldn't only be there when they're working. Right. And I mean, not even in uniform, just come be a regular person in there and kind of understand some of the needs of the community and build a relationship with some of the key figures in the community who would advocate for you, or will let people know it's okay for them to have relationships with police officers because they are people, as opposed to us hating the police. And I know that's going to be a huge obstacle, but I think it's necessary. I think it's important. And honestly, based on what the PALS program is doing, I feel like they are trying to have a part in building relationships within the community. I know some people have their opinions about that as well, but we need to figure out how we can all solve it together. And then housing. Because there are some things going on within the city of Erie, and I think people need to understand the importance of owning something, even if it's land or home ownership, or even families getting together to kind of start making purchases, 2 units, 3 units, and having a staple for their family and their foundation. A lot of people don't understand the importance of that. You know what I mean? So a lot of people will go get an apartment and think they've done a big thing, or, a major move, 18, you go get your place, but I think that a lot of us need to understand the importance of how housing works, the importance of real estate, how real estate works. So I think it's important for our community and the people where I come from and I represent to understand the community resources that are available and how to distribute them amongst the people in the community. Public safety, as far as addressing some of our concerns with our neighborhoods, with our children, with our adult people, with our adult men, with our adult women, like, and then housing. Again, I think we, as Black people, there are certain like milestones that you meet that you have to do something instantly in order for you to look like a success. And then you look at other generations, or you look at other cultures of people, or other races of people, and they legitimately build family businesses off of real estate, off of resources, off of relying on one another. And I think that we just take so much pride into being independent that we run too fast and we jump too far for our independence. And then it's frowned upon when you don't. So I think having the resources, having the support, having the people who actually want these things will benefit us all, at least for one of those 7 seats, for those 3 concerns.
Community resources, public safety, and ownership.
Housing. Because it's not just everybody. Yeah, it's not just ownership, but housing. You know what I mean? We all need to be educated on that thing before we just instantly jump to ownership.
All right, our next one. What is your plan, or if you have a plan or an idea, what you feel like City Council can do to help attract new businesses, support small businesses, and revitalize struggling areas in Erie?
Okay. Honestly, so and that's another reason why I want to run for the seat, is because when I talk about these resources, there are organizations in Erie that are working on revitalizing Erie. I mean, businesses. Revitalizing Erie. There are organizations working on identifying small businesses, trying to help people like the downtown, the food hall. Yep. Like they try to help people get in there or get started up before they go to brick and mortar. And I know they're doing a lot of redeveloping down on State Street, as far as like having different commercial spaces in there.
Downtown Development Corporation.
Absolutely. And then they're redoing the Avalon Hotel. That's going to be apartments with shops. I don't know what the building is on 12th Street across from Prep, but they're doing a lot of stuff with that as well. So there are some organizations who are doing work to like kind of draw more tourists to Erie and to try to like increase the value of the lay of the land and trying to catch our city up to speed with other cities. And I feel like they do good work trying to identify some of these businesses or some of these organizations or even some of these people, but it's about the people knowing what's going on within the city. Right. And when I say the people, I mean the people who I know who have small businesses who either are working out of their houses or are partnering with other people and just don't have the confidence to get a leg up. That's why we run some of the small business workshops down here out of Radius, to educate people on the opportunities that are available. So I feel like there are a lot of people who say like there isn't things to do in Erie or Erie isn't doing much. And those are the people who I would like to get this information to, because there is a lot to do in Erie. Right. There's a lot coming to Erie, and there's a lot of opportunity for us in Erie. And if we don't start putting ourselves out there to take advantage of these opportunities, somebody else is going to fill those spaces. Like when you talk about commercial, they're going to put commercial businesses in Avalon. There'll be some commercial businesses in the food hall, you know, and then they just put the country fair in there. So like they could put a bank on Parade Street. Yep. They're not stopping there. They're going to redo Parade Street. Then we're going to redo East Avenue, and everything's going to be from the bridge to the water. And once we go from State Street to East Avenue, from the bridge to the water, it's only up from there. Yep. So if people understand that and start looking at the plans of the city of Erie, they have a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, 15-year plan. We need to figure out how we can implement ourselves within those plans and how we can start preparing ourselves to fill those spots when those spots are available for us. And I feel like that's something that people don't know is coming or don't think is real, because we're so used to Erie being the way it has been, that we need to kind of wake up and understand the resources that are available to us.
Sure. And I think people need to realize it takes time. These aren't things that happen overnight. These are not things that'll happen within a day or even a year. So
right.
It takes time.
Right. And the people who are planning those things are the people who understands that it takes time. Yep. And they're not jumping the gun and saying, hey, we need 10 new businesses on Parade Street next year. Right. Like, no, we're going to start small and we're going to work our way up. And as we're starting small, we're going to reach out to some people to see, are there any small businesses interested? Yep. And I think the small businesses who are interested need to start filling those places and those spaces and not being so doubtful about it, because the plan is to grow. Nobody wants to live in a city that nothing is happening. There's not a candidate who's running who wants to run so things can stay the same. There's not a candidate who's there. I don't think there's a person who lives in the city of Erie who wants Erie to be a horrible place. So if we kind of start thinking about what we can do to make it better and how we can include ourselves as opposed to sitting back and watching it happen or complaining about it, things will be a lot better because like I tell people, it is coming. Since when they brought those cranes up here to redo Erie Insurance Arena and they built that parking garage right here, they never left. They're repairing everything in the city.
It's either be a part of it or you left.
I mean, honestly, that's really what it's boiling down to. And when I say that, because like I'm invited to meetings, you know what I mean? I'm a part of conversations. People reach out to me, they ask me my opinion, or I serve on the boards, and so when you start moving up in the professional world, you know what I mean? You start getting, I guess, credentials. People who make decisions start looking at you different, and they start treating you different. And they start sharing things with you that they wouldn't share with the average person. So knowing that these things are coming, this is not a guess for me. This is not a feeling or an assumption. Like they are making repairs in Erie, and they want everybody who lives here to be involved with that. And if the people aren't going to be involved, the repairs are still going to happen.
That's very true. And speaking of that, moving on to an infrastructure question. What infrastructure improvements, whether it be roads, public transit, utilities, and things like that, do you believe are most urgent?
So when we talk about infrastructure, it may sound crazy, but again, I think it's back to the village. I think we need to repair the infrastructure of the actual people. You know what I mean? Because we don't get along, or we can't congregate, or we can't solve issues. And then what we do is we point fingers at the government to solve our problems. So even something as simple as we just had a crazy snowstorm, right? So the block I live on, me and my neighbors, we all we look out for each other, so we shoveling the street. We were shoveling the street. We got snow blowers out, we making sure the mailman can get to and from. But then, you get on social media and you see a lot of people complaining about people not shoveling their snow, or what is the city doing as far as the streets? Like this was a record-breaking snowstorm, and we expecting people to have the answers and the solutions. But we as the people need to kind of start figuring out how we can help one another. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to figure out the first thing that I can do is complain, is like, I'm 38 years old, man. You know what I mean? I'm very healthy and all of that. So I know all of my neighbors aren't as physically able as I am. So instead of me complaining on social media, I have to understand and realize that if I see a mess outside my door, maybe my 60-year-old neighbor across the street is stuck in her house. Right. Maybe I should just shovel her out. Maybe I should go knock on her door and take her trash out. But I think like the infrastructure of the people is where we need to start first, because we can repair the roads. We can repair the water. We can do all of that. But if people are going to complain and continuously tear it down, we were not even going to value it once we repair it. So I think we need to start repairing ourselves as individuals. And I feel like, again, with the local government, if we can kind of start empowering some of our people who are champions for our neighbors and for our neighborhoods, then it will benefit everything that's going on. I feel like when the people believe that the government believes in them, when the local official supports them and the local government has their back, they'll do more and they'll do better. You understand? Like when I was growing up, it was free lunch at the park. You know what I mean? We learned how to play tennis, and, we knew who our leaders were in the community. We spent time at Waldemar, the zoo, Prescott, and stuff like that, to where people genuinely loved each other, cared about one another, to where it was like, if it was a snowstorm like that back in the 90s, it would have been 35 kids outside shoveling. And, our parents or grandparents would have been calling and making sure, I'm going to send my baby over to get you out. Do y'all need anything? Do y'all need eggs, sugar? You know what I mean? Stuff like that.
Like camaraderie.
Absolutely. Like everybody knew everybody. So I feel like if we can kind of repair our relationship with ourselves, then we can start talking about, streets and stuff like that. And again, every single council member has a different avenue or a different lane that they would go down.
Right.
So that would be my area of focus, is gathering the people. While I understand this is my job, I'm hoping that everybody's not thinking that and they're working on the other people, because I don't want it to just seem like, oh, let's kumbaya and let's not do real work. You know what I mean? But the hand has to do what the hand has to do, and the foot has to do what the foot has to do. And I'm okay with being the hand sometimes. I'm okay with being the foot sometimes. So when it comes to the infrastructure, like I really don't get too technical into the streets or into buildings and stuff like that. I legitimately feel like our biggest and our greatest value is the people who live in the city of Erie, and we need to figure out how we can start working better for one another.
Sure. All right, coming down to my last few.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
All right, let's see here. How do you continue to learn and grow as a professional and as a person?
Okay, so I'm a nerd, man. So like when you talk about learning and growing, I spend time at the bookstore. I read a lot of books, and then I associate myself with learners. I associate myself with thinkers. I have a group of individuals who like I need some help. I'm not afraid to ask for help from somebody younger than me, from somebody older than me. I just keep my mind open. Right. I don't try to discredit anybody for any information that they have. I'm willing to listen to people, and I don't have to take everything that you bring to me and apply it to me, but I'm open to learn it. And I feel like I stay sharp because I surround myself with and I interact with and I associate with people who want better for their lives. And I feel like if I'm around people like that, I'm always going to grow. I'm always going to learn, and there's never any sitting still. And that's a huge reason why I come to Radius as much as I do as well, you know, because when I come down here to Radius, like it's freelance workers, it's entrepreneurs, it's a supportive environment, and there's always a lot of different things going on. There's a lot of learning going on. And then Sean, who runs this place, like he's amazing. But then even just like talking to some of the different people within the community, like we've been living in Erie. Erie's very small, but we all know one another. So I stay sharp from the people who I've been surrounding myself with, who uplift me. And I'm always reading something. I'm always studying something. I don't know. I'm a nerd, man. Like, you gotta keep it going. Yeah, when it comes to learning, I'm a nerd, man. I can sit and read and study all day and research.
Learning is forever. All right, let me see here. Next one. What values guide your decision making, both personally and professionally?
So, like my grandfather played a major role in my life. You know what I mean? So he always he didn't use the word integrity, but he showed me the principles of integrity. As far as like doing the right thing no matter what. Standing up on my words and not being afraid to be wrong, not being afraid to fail, speaking up for myself, you know, and speaking up for other people. As far as like, I don't know, when I talk about values and principles and stuff like that, like I give a lot to my grandfather because like he played a big role in my life. But then again, growing up and being around different men and taking advice from different people, like a lot of different people have shaped me to be who I am, to where like, I guess it just depends on the situation as far as how I move to it or how I adapt to it. But I don't know. I just pride myself on integrity, man, doing the right thing, being an honest person. And this is one thing I have I think we talked about this before as well. I'm not a humble person, but I know how to practice humility. You know what I mean? And I say that because like, if I'm going to work hard every single day, and you know what I mean, then I receive an award or I get an accolade, like I feel like I should be able to be proud of myself.
You should, because other people recognize it, so you should be able to recognize yourself.
Exactly. And I should be able to brag about the good things that I'm doing because I'm doing good things, but I'm working hard for them. So my practice of humility is me working to the prize or to the reward. And then when I get the reward, I'm not going to be humble about the award because I've practiced humility to get it. Nobody's going to ever make me just shh, be quiet, don't talk about it. It's good, on to the next thing. So I don't know. It's a bunch of mixed up stuff going on with me as far as like me being a man of principle and me being the man that I am. And I'm not flawless. I got plenty of work to do.
Right. All of us. All right. And then this brings us to our last question.
Last question.
All
right.
What is one goal you hope to accomplish during your term on the city council?
What? Okay, so I'm glad that you asked that because so it's a 4-year term.
Yep. 4-year term.
And I believe that you can run 3. I'm not sure how many times you can run, but what I would honestly like to see is people in the city of Erie who are interested in becoming entrepreneurs and contractors and stuff like that. Like I would love to see the city of Erie employ some other people for some of those government contracts, because I feel like it would give people pride in being in their city, you know. And they just put some bids out now for like to do the construction and all of that down there by the water, the roundabout and the landscaping and stuff like that. So having that information, I think over this first 4 years, is for the people who are interested in, you know, being entrepreneurs and stuff like that, is actually getting them prepared and getting them ready to step in some of those spaces to where the local government could support them. I want people to say, you know what, Erie believes in me. I believe in Erie. And prior to when Deontay first got the seat, he was talking about being able to help us with community resources. Right. I want to be able to distribute community resources amongst the people and empower more people than we empower organizations so that we can actually build our community back up. So I think it's going to be important, again, like from going back to the first question, it's going to be important for us to identify our champions from different communities so that way we can empower them and they can speak to their groups of people. And then that way we can start building our city based on the people who live in it and not the people who have opinions about how we should live. So I think, I mean, I know that was a very vague answer, but I want to be able to empower people to reap the benefits of local government. And I want people to feel like because Deontay took that seat, now my son or my grandson or my great-great-grandson has an opportunity because my family who was born and raised in Erie is now able to establish a legacy. Every family who has a last name who's been living in the city of Erie should be able to have something that is their staple. And I feel like there are families who are the powerhouse families of Erie who don't look like us. And there aren't our families who in our community are powerhouse families. I want to create some powerhouse families from my community that's going to have a lasting name within the city of Erie.
That's valid.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, again, like I said, because when you think about some of the names in Erie, you think, I'm just going to Nick Scott. So let's say the Scott family, that's a Hagen. Those are names that are like prestigious in the city. You hear those, okay, they got some room. But then when you think, okay, now we say Horton, we think about the Hortons, we think about community work or politics. We don't think about the Hortons like, oh, they own this building where they're employed. And Mr. Gary Horton employs a lot of people. Right. But they're staples in the community as far as helping people, while some of these other people are staples in the community as far as having money, like the Owen McCormicks. You know what I mean? Like the dude what's his name, who owned the tap houses and all of those places. Like there are legitimate families in Erie that don't look like us who pretty much run our city. Right. And then when you think about the prestigious names within our community, it's not always associated with good, you know what I mean? With good, when you hear certain last names in the city of Erie, you think, oh, you talk to who, or you mess with what, or you friends with X, Y. Right. I want us to have family names in the city of Erie that's just as big as Scott, just as big as McCormick, it's just as big as Hoffman and Dahlkamper and, Hagen. Like, it's crazy that I can rattle off all of these. You got the H-Jack, like Brandell. Like, I feel like I grew up with the Brandell family. Like, every Christmas day on my TV, every holiday from Dennis to Dennis Jr. to Dennis the third. Now you see the great-great-great. And I'm like, I feel like I'm a Brandell myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I want people like me, and this might be the thing where I say, like, is exclusive. But I want people to understand that if you work hard, you can establish a name just like some of those names that I named. And I want to be able to present those opportunities to those families that are ready or are willing to get ready and are willing to work hard. Because I think you think of Crenshaw, Mr. Crenshaw, he's got the Parade Street Commons and all of that. So when you think of his name, you think of a family name that's doing something. But when you think of Erie family names that are business, and I don't mean like within our community that's like big business. I mean like Erie, bro. Like, again, like the Tom Hagens, like the Owen McCormicks, like the Nick Scotts, like I don't know who the head Dahlkamper is, but I know like Kathy Dahlkamper or Hoffman's. There are certain last names in the city of Erie that's just kind of like, uh-oh.
They ring a bell.
Yeah. Like, hold on, you said what? Scott, are you related to, I wanted to be like that for us, like Cooley. Oh, okay, I know who you, yeah, my mom used to work for them, blah, blah, oh, you know what I mean? Johnson, oh, okay, I know what your family do. Y'all the family that do the boats. Yep. Y'all rent the boats out on the water. Y'all family got coffee shops. Y'all family got hotels. Y'all families do entertainment. Like, it shouldn't just be last names that we always have to solicit. And so that's what I want, bro. Like, by the time I'm finished with city council, and I don't even know what's next from this, I just felt it was important for me to do this because, again, nobody else was really doing it for us.
That's fair. And then, like what you said too, just to even point that out, whether it be the Nick Scotts, the Hoffman, the Reeds, just some of the ones, even the ones I know. It started off with somebody believing in them. It started with a yes. So it may not necessarily been the great grandson. It could have been the great grandfather or the father where they started at. So it just took that one person to believe in them, whether it's from city council, or it takes that person to believe in them, give them an opportunity and a chance.
Absolutely.
So within this role, you would definitely have that ability to be that person to give somebody that chance.
Because the resources are available, bro.
Yeah.
And that's the platform. Right. And that's how some of those families got to where they struck when the iron was hot. Somebody opened the door for them. They ran through it and they said, hey, cuz, you coming? Hey, bro, come too. Hey, mom, this is what we're doing.
Community. That's how
and then on the flip side, the people who are coming or the people who are being called have to understand the mission. And like you said, it takes time. Yep. So we're not going to get rich over it. And that's not a microwave mentality. You can't make a Thanksgiving meal in the microwave. Take some time. Absolutely. So yeah, man, it was just like, I don't know. I guess some of the reasons why I want to run it, and I don't want people to, and I will say this, and this may sound crazy to some people. I don't want people to just vote for me because, you know what I mean, because I'm young, or because I'm black, or because they like me. I want people to actually believe in me. You know what I mean? Because when people vote for me, I'm gonna need their support. I'm gonna need their help. When we opening these doors and we're creating these opportunities, I'm gonna need people to step up. And sometimes those people are gonna have to do it scared and trust in one another and rely on one another. And that's why I want to build that infrastructure of people, of community, because we need to understand that we can figure it out together if we're working together in the same direction, as opposed to the crab in the barrel mentality, for lack of better words. But I feel like somebody got to put their neck out there. Like, even if it's to get my head cut off, bro. Even if it's to get my head cut off, like, I feel like I've worked hard enough. My resume is good enough. And I said this on the last one. My resume is good enough. My work ethic is, I work hard enough to where, like, if I fail doing this, this is not the end of life for me. It's not the end of my career. This is not the end of anything for me. So I'm willing to take a chance for everybody else, because I want it to be great for all of us. I want it to be better for all of us. And if we think about some of the other candidates, there's none of them who look like you and I in our age group. Mr. Andre Horton is running as well. You know what I mean? I rely on him for a lot. I call him all the time. We speak. It's been times where I call him, bro, I need to cry. Like, you got a minute? So, I'm not saying there aren't people who don't care, but I just mean as far as, like, I'm 38. I believe Mr. Horton is in his 60s. If I'm wrong, I hope I'm not. You know what I mean? But so then it's like, it's people younger than me, like yourself, who would look at me like, okay, if he there, I should be there, or I'm allowed to be there. And then when that trickles down to you, it might be people younger than you, like, oh, well, because you look young. It might be some young boys, 21, 22, looking at you like, okay. And then the 18, 19-year-olds might look at you like, and then the 16, 17-year-olds like, and it just keep trickling down. But right now, there's not a representation for my generation of people. And I want to be that person. I want to be that voice. I want to be that advocate. And like I said, I'm willing to put my neck out there to get my head cut off if it's going to make this place better for me to live in, my children, my family, and for us to be able to build some prestigious Black family names in the city of Erie.
Right on. And you said it the best, too. With your stature and the things you've done and accolades you've had, it wouldn't break you. Like, it wouldn't be your be-all, end-all. So we already know on the other side of that what that looks like. So if it just didn't work out, then it would just be no, you move on, or you try again within the next term. But the plus side of that, you taking that chance, all of these great things you can do for not only yourself, but your community and all of those you can bring along with you. So like you said, taking that chance, we appreciate that, somebody being that person to take that step first.
Absolutely. And I want people to I don't say that to bullshit them, but I want people to understand that, like, this isn't about my own personal interest. Right. This isn't about my own personal gains. You make like $6,000 a year doing this, I believe, if that. Like, I've never even signed up for it for the money, but it's just like, I'm aware of the resources and I'm aware of the opportunities. Right. And I can't do everything. Like, if there's opportunities for construction, I don't do construction. Why would I keep that to myself? Right. There's opportunity for entertainment. I'm not an entertainer. I'm not a handyman. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a chef. So if I'm sitting in with the local government and they say, hey, we got funds for this, boom, 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 ain't nobody else gonna pass it out. Like, I'm gonna pass it out to my people. Right. Nobody else. So it's like, I want people to understand that I'm taking the seat, or I'm running for the seat for everybody, because we are being missed. And we is not just young Black men. We is not just Black people. We are this generational thing. You know what I mean? It's a side of town thing. It's a zip code thing. You know what I mean? So it's not, oh, we need more for more Black men. Like, no, there's a pocket in this. There's a neighborhood. There are neighborhoods in the city of Erie who just get forgotten about, from trash to plow trucks to whatever the case may be. So when I say I'm doing it for us, it's all of us who live here who are tired of things just going how they go, but don't know where to go speak to other than social media or the barbershop or the nail salon or the hair salon. And I want to be that listening ear to find those champions to be like, okay, what's going on and what can we do to make it better? So that's my goal, man, is just put my neck out there for everybody, and including myself as well. Because again, when I say like these accomplishments don't mean that I'm not rich by no means. Like I said, I'm not flawless. So I still also have some work to do on myself. So I'm not saying like, oh, if not this, then I'll be cool. Like, I need this help too, bro. Everything that I'm talking about, these community resources, I need this help too. Like the housing, I need this help too. Like public safety, I need this help too. Like, I need to work on building relationships and establishing relationships within the community. I just feel like this would be the perfect place and the perfect opportunity for me to do it for all of us, as opposed to me just doing it for me and mine.
That's where to put it.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
I don't have anything else for you. Again, thank you for taking the time out to let me, do the inverse to this and ask you a few questions.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. But I do want to ask you a question though, right? It's just one question. How important is it for you, or is it important for you that I run and that I get to see?
mean, it's important. I mean, I know you on a personal level, but outside of that, just outside looking in, just seeing that you care and all the things you've done between now and then, whether it be the real estate, volunteering up there at Merciers, these are not things that people do when they're looking to make a bunch of money. These are things, obviously, real estate you can, but it's the people side of it. Everything you've done has always revolved around people. It's been a people business. You've been in the people business for a while. So just seeing that you're genuine about it and that you care shows that somebody I can believe in to put my money on, like him. This is who I'm rooting for. This is who I want to see. And like you said, coming from similar backgrounds and same environment. So I'm rooting for you, just like, you know, it means a lot.
Right.
Being able to see, again, seeing is believing. So you being able to do it to show, like, whether it be me, that I can do it for that. And it's motivating. Like, I look at certain people with peers and mentors and stuff like that. It's like, okay, they're doing this in the community. This will motivate me to get back to what I was doing, or if there's something else I want to take a chance on. If he's taking a chance on that, why can't I take a chance on this? So I think it's, you know, very important that you do this and don't give up. Like, I know you may have some days where it may get rough. You may run into naysayers and everything else. I would just tune them out. Just keep pushing along, because it's other people watching that may not even necessarily have the confidence to speak up to you, but they're watching and supporting from a distance. So I say keep going.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that, man. Like, yeah, we rocking about 55 minutes after we got through all our technical difficulties and everything. We had some folks in the comment section. We're gonna keep it going though. I think so. My next interview I got is with Brandon Wiley. He's gonna come on here and ask me some questions. And then also I'm gonna get the opportunity to have Daria Devlin come on here. So Daria reached out. Daria reached out and was like, hey, I'll come on the show. And that's perfect for me, because I got some questions as well, as far as like why she wants to be mayor and different things like that. So
that's nice.
Yeah, we taking off, man. Like I said, I reached out to about 25 different people to see how many people be interested in coming on here and asking questions and having conversations. And then I'm also still reaching out to different people to see if they want to come on the show for them to be guests for themselves as well. And the next person I think I'm gonna have on here, I'm waiting to hear back from Tashawn Taylor. But then I also had a conversation with Mike McAdoo. I've been seeing him be doing this thing on here, him and his son, and me cooking and, you know, having his father talks. And that's definitely an area where I can, you know, give you some support. And so he reached out to me, and I'm gonna see what's up with him, and we're gonna get him on the show. I think he said tomorrow, so I gotta check my calendar and see what the room looking like for tomorrow. But I appreciate you coming on here, man. I appreciate the questions. I appreciate the people watching. Appreciate all the support, man, because it truly does mean a lot to me, man. And like I said, it's bigger than me. It's about all of us. I'm just taking the approach of, if not you, then who?
Right.
And I want everybody to look at them. When I say that, I don't want people to read, like I post that often. I don't want people to read that and think I'm talking about, like, I want people to read that aloud. If not you, then who? And be talking to themselves. If I'm not going to do it for me, then who's going to do it for me? If I'm not going to step up, who is? If I'm not going to speak up, who is? So again, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for those of you who will watch. This is going to be posted on our YouTube channel as well as Facebook. I think they got some new Facebook stuff where it'll be down in 30 days. So you can tune in to the Social Experiment podcast on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. My kids told me I got to say that type of stuff.
You have to at the end every time.
Right.
Like, share, subscribe.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You got anything you want to say before we tune out of this thing?
I don't. Everybody have a good night. God bless.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. And we are.